Hello? What the hell? Okay, so I just woke up out of my sleep, genuinely, with the best idea ever. And it is my idea. This is Whitney Marie King Williams, but not nobody steal my shit. And I'm putting it on here so I don't ever forget it because I'm going to start it. So basically, it's a trilogy. You start with a book or whatever, but a little more than a trilogy because the concept is this girl who's on drugs. Some people did some shit to her. Her family wanted to make sure she was okay and wanted her to know the things that people did that she didn't know because people drug her and do shit to where she would pass out, and she really didn't know. She thought it was dreams and stuff like that. And so what happens is they find the people who do the little chips because the chip is 2020, of course, so the chips is like easy to get. You could just buy them off the internet and stuff like that. So they buy the chip, they put it in, they liquefy it or do some shit and put it in their food or some shit. And so everybody that's in on it are trying to pretend like they care about her. Now, the people that paid for it and originally did it really genuinely do care about her. But there's some other people who decided to be in on it that did something to her. And so what they did is they took the idea that the family that cared about her had and took the idea and took it and tried to mess up everything they were going to tell her to try to make her look like she was crazy and make her go crazy. And so they were saying all kind of bad stuff like she's ugly and that's what she did, and basically doing shit to make her think that she was crazy instead of making her think that she's a good person. Basically what the chip did is it gave them the ability to be a self-conscious, to make it seem like, because they didn't tell her she had it. So what it was to better her. It was to tell her she was a good person. So basically it was like her self-conscious was talking to her because she doesn't know that there's a chip. So technically she thinks it's her self-conscious. The only thing is it makes her look crazy because no matter what, even them doing the good thing makes her look crazy because the voices are their voices and not her voice. It's not her telling herself that. They couldn't change the voices, and they didn't realize it until the end that they didn't change the voices. So this whole time she's been listening to them say this shit to her. And the thing is, the people took it and decided to use it against her. So they went and liquefied chips and were putting it in the drugs that they were giving her and stuff like that. And so they're telling her one thing. It's like the devil and the angel. Basically, they're telling her one thing, they're telling her other thing. The thing that ends up happening is that it happened for so long and somebody had did it, the chip already to her. She didn't know. Of course, she doesn't know. So somebody did it before her family did it. Some stalker man did it to her to find out where she was. She slept with him or was with him or something, and he started stalking her. So she and he did it. So the thing is, her body starts being radioactive. She ends up having children. Of course, your self conscious and your weirdness all becomes science fiction, and this is going to be on sci-fi because I'm in. So her body starts becoming radioactive, and over the years, that's what happens. Her babies are born. Basically, it mutates her DNA and mutates um everything, her skin, her everything, because she's radioactive now because she doesn't know, and they didn't realize that somebody had already did it, and they didn't realize that somebody else did it. So the doctors, she finally finds a doctor to help her, and the doctors find out and have to tell her basically that the uh they let her name it, and it's going to be called Entombed. I don't know how the hell I remember all of this, but I was swear to God I've been asleep for a couple hours. So it's called being entombed. That's what she names it. She calls it being entombed. And they tell her that she will never not be entombed. Her body has mutated to the genetics of the becoming radioactive in it, that with them liquefying the chips, instead of putting the whole chip in to where they can take the whole chip out, they liquefy it. So it's just in my body. It has not in my body. It's just taking over the DNA in her body and stuff like that. Of course, it was me because I was in the dream, so it was a dream. But it basically liquefies. It liquefied itself and it became part of the DNA, and because of how many people did it, especially the people who actually really hurt her. And so what happens is she goes, finds a doctor, like I said, that helps her and tells her. She doesn't tell anybody that she knows about what's going on because she thought she was going crazy. So when she found a doctor, the scientist to help her, and they did all these crazy tests and stuff on her, and then she takes blood and stuff from her own kids to test it, and it shows that because they were born that way, that they have special abilities and can do weird ass shit that people don't know. And so basically she never tells anybody. So this whole time they think that they're about to get off on what they did to her, raping her, doing all that shit, and think that they're about to get away with it. They're not about to get away with it. And then the trilogy is going to be showing that she has special abilities, and that she's always had special abilities since she was little, but being with the chips and stuff and being radioactive is even more special. So basically her skin follicles makes, if when they fall off, because that's what dust is, so they show her that her skin follicles is different, hers move around and do stuff, and because they're radioactive, they can she could think about being tapped into a computer system, being tapped into a phone, being tapped into anything, because it's 2000. By this time, it's going to be 2024, and her, it's all over the place. She's been all over the place. The radioactive enzymes basically are like a dog, so they're in her spit, they're in her pee, they're in her poop, they're in her blood, they're in her skin follicles, they're in her hair. So all of those things she loses, and the thing is, we know that they don't die if they're on your body. Hers and her kids does not die. So it makes things go like this and blink and shit like that. And all the shit they think about really happens because the world is built on, technology now by that time. And then they find out they can talk to dead people. And then I woke up like, so I'm gonna get creative on this shit right here. Lord, I'm gonna be famous, rich. I'm gonna be something. I am determined.